What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Two Guys, One Room. So today, we are actually joined by very, very special guests. We're very happy to have them. They are also having their own little podcast as well. So without further ado, we are joined by... So Michael actually consists of more than one person, just like we are more than one guy. So we'll just have them to give a brief introduction about who they are. Yeah, that's
I can intro them as well. So we have Delphine over there, and this is what the fuck. I'm very bad at names. This is cool. Shun. And this is Elton. Yeah. So other than Mic'd Up itself, I guess running the same thing, or is that just by you?
Actually, Mic'd Up is three of us.
Okay.
Plus, we actually have another videographer.
Oh, okay.
Photo videographer. She follows us around.
Oh yeah. So as you can see, Mic'd Up is more than just three people. You know, when I first saw a channel, I was like, Mic'd Up, or is it Mic'd Up? I don't know, it reminded me about food. I don't know why, it's like minced up or something. Yeah. So I was like, is this a food channel?
I think it's NFL, the football league, they already took Mic'd Up. Like they have a section called Mic'd Up.
Oh.
So if you search Mic'd Up with the apostrophe D, you get one NFL, you don't see a shit at all. But if you search Mic apostrophe ED up, ours is on the top because there's no one that nobody's doing it.
Dude, you know that I had problems with both of the channels that I started. Like my first one was Just in Time, so I thought I was very smart.
Who gave you the name, bro? Who gave you the name first?
So then I was like, I think this is gonna be so it's so catchy. Then when I searched Just in Time on YouTube, you know what's the first hit? There's an entire series about a cartoon little boy and a train. It's like, this is how I represent it. And then then I was like, where am I? And then when I went into Two Guys One Room, like there are so many Two Guys One Room, and it's all about gaming. It's all two people gaming in a room.
There too.
Yeah, there's like, I can't game for a shit. Like I can be there and commentate. Like
That's the point.
oh, you're gonna play this new game. Then you get frustrated at me.
Stop doing this thing!
Toplin, where is Toplin?
Just to dive right into the topic for today. So we're thinking, because like we're all from uni as well. They're still doing uni. Year 2, right? Year 2, Sem 1. And we're done with uni already. So we thought like it would be a very good way for us to start at our topic to be something about expectations and also reality. You know, during uni and also after uni. But to be specific, because we both like went through that before uni as well. Like what our expectations before uni, what did we do during uni, and also like what do we see after uni as a reality as well. Psychology, right?
Yeah.
Business side.
Actually, why I took business side was actually I want to take business, alright? And then I was like, but all my friends had psych. Let's just take business side now. Get up to
Best of both worlds.
Yeah, best of both worlds. I get my friends and I get to study business.
That's like me if it was a course, like both sides of it.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, actually that was like such a perfect segue because one of the things that I thought about like before taking degree, so I had a gap like after SPM. So after SPM, I was contemplating between like 3 or 4 things, but they were so vastly different. One was medicine, because my mom really wanted me to be a doctor.
It's okay, it's like the typical Chinese.
Exactly,
Yeah.
not only doctor, she wanted me to be an oncologist.
Oh shit.
Which is a cancer, no, a doctor specifically for cancer. So then it's like, dude, there's so few in Malaysia. Anytime people need you, they fly helicopter over. I was like, wow, this life sounds very cool. So I was like, I will be an oncologist. Yes. And then after a while, I started talking to a lot of doctors. So like, because we have doctors in the family, I talked to them. Then it's like, there's no life, and then like you get a lot of money, but like you trade off. There was one thing that a doctor told me. It was that you trade off your people skills, which is such an opposing view, because it's like you need to see so many people to the point that like, they just can't quickly leave my office already. Because after you have 20 more people that's waiting before I can go home. So that's like, okay, so there's one perspective. And then the other thing is like, I want money. I want a lot of money. So I was like, what can make a lot of money? Which was business. And then there was one thing I was really looking into, which was business analyst or something like that. I cannot even remember what it was.
Like actuarial science.
Yeah. So it's analyzing, because at that time I had slowly begun to discover I was quite good at math. So then I was like, I cannot be a mathematician, man. Nobody's a mathematician in the 21st century. So I started asking around, like, what can math do? Right? Because nobody's like,
We only had like uni lecturers, all the.
Oh yeah.
I could be in that sound.
I I'm not going to be the one that I used to bully in high school. I refuse.
Oh, you want?
You gotta come full circle, it's like you bully there.
Exactly.
Then you bully there.
Then take the pencil throw at you. Get out. Yeah, then the last thing I wanted to do was obviously psychology. So I really was very, very close to taking business side because I was like, I want to counsel people in the end. But yeah, I want to do business because that's where the money is, and I know that's where a lot of the money is. So that was some of like the thought process that I had before that. And funny thing is that the reason that I didn't take medicine, which is something all of you should do your freaking homework. Because I only did my homework halfway. Like I wanted so badly to do medicine. And then I talked to one of my friends, and they was like, oh, if you do medicine, right? In fact, all the way up until year one. Year one, I was prepared to throw away and go into medicine. So then
Year one of uni.
year one of uni,
So you did PU or more?
I did PU in health, which was foundation in science. Because I was like, I still have science. That forever, I always got like insurance, you know. If I take arts means that all of those roads close to me, man. So then when I looked at the things, biochem is like calculus, all is very easy to me, man. So I took that, and yeah, I was asking around, and then one of my lecturers and friends, two people told me this. There's like, if you do medicine, you must do surgery. So like, I'm okay to study surgery because I know that I cannot see people cut open. I cannot do that. I have to do it. Yeah, if I need to practice it in my actual job, I cannot. That's the only one reason that will make me tap out from switching my course. And I asked around and they said all must do. I said all must practice or all must study because I'm okay to get through. I can just like vomit a few times during the actual course. But they said no, you must study. I mean you must practice. So it's like okay, we'll throw that dream away. And then in year 3, I asked another practicing. He's like, who told you that? I was like, huh? It's like, you know, there's like normal practitioner and then there's surgeon, right? I was like, that makes so much sense now. Like, can I come? And that was one decision away from switching to medicine course again. Because and then when I heard that in year 3, I was like, kena con really gao gao. I was so disappointed in the people that told me that. I was like, you lying sons. Yeah, so there's a lot of jumble that was in my head before I wanted to take the university course. Yeah, and actually to go a step further, while I was very interested in medicine, I actually shadowed many doctors. So this is a good thing to have a lot of connections. Like my mom knew a speech therapist in a private hospital in Penang. So she asked a favor, and I actually got to follow all the doctors in the thing throughout a day, throughout a couple of weeks. Yeah, actually seeing what is your thing. That's why I know that I cannot take surgery, because I was in the surgery room with some of them. And like, I was just like, this is what doctors do to human flesh. It's quite gruesome, you know. Like some of them will just use their hand, just rip it openly. Right? Dude, I watched that shit firsthand, brother. And I was like, oh my god. And then it's not, you think that after you rip it open, you just, wow, very nicely you sew back. These people staple and sear. I can smell burning flesh, and I was like, whoa. Then I was like, cannot do surgery. Like,
I can't even think about it.
yeah, dude, it was so gruesome.
It's like you watch the horror movie.
Right, it's like torture.
So it's freaking gross.
This is why, like, if you got seen in movie that's like really, I would just, I cannot stand that job. So then after that, yeah, but I feel like before you make a decision to jump into university, there's so many different thoughts that I have, and I feel that you should really entertain every single one. As in, entertain, but I mean really go in and understand what does it mean, like if I want to take medicine, what does it mean if I want to take business or any other type of any other field.
Yeah, I think entertaining thoughts is one thing, but like getting perspectives from different angles as well. Like what Justin said, don't just get from like 1 or 2 people, they might not be always right. So try to get as many opinions as possible. So that's the way where you find out like, are you really passionate about this subject or not?
And then what about you?
Why psychology?
Is there like before?
It's a freaking long one. I'll try to summarize this. So my mom has like a mental disorder. Yeah, mental disorder. It's panic disorder. So she gets anxiety once in a while when she's triggered. So like she goes to the psychiatrist a lot because like she needs medication as well. And with the psychiatrist, she takes like medications and she also goes through like hypnosis, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So since I was young, I was very intrigued. Like, how can a person just talk to you and then you get better already? Yeah. I mean, she takes medication, but still, like, she told me that the talking helps a lot. I was like, this is very interesting. And I was also very interested in like personalities, like different people, different personalities, introverts, extroverts, that kind of thing. So like, I learned more and more about the psychiatrist. Then which is why even during high school I did science as well because I wanted to go into that field. Yeah, to understand and also the medications and.
Psych, you don't need to be a science student, right?
You don't have to. Yeah. But what I found out after high school was that shit, I actually hate science. Freaking biology, chemistry, physics. I was like, no way, I don't want to do this anymore. So for my pre-U, I did foundation, but in arts, different, same uni, but different courses. He did science, I did arts. Yeah, so I found out that okay, arts is better, and I can go into psychology. So I don't have to take science, I can do psychology as well. Yeah, but the trade-off is that I don't get to go into psychiatry anymore because I can't do a doctorate degree. That's that one. Yeah, this is just a very short version. Yeah, but during uni, I found a lot of interesting stuff about psych, and I believe it is that interest and passion that helped me got through the whole process. It is wide. Even after you come out from uni, right, you find out that it's even wider. It's worse. Yeah. But that we'll leave it to later.
Yeah. What about you guys before you get, because right now you're in year 2, so I think it's still kind of fresh, because for us to think back, all the year is quite a while already, but I think while you guys are still in the middle of it, does it kind of match up to what you guys did before you actually entered uni?
I think I should go last. Mine is way
The hard brain.
We go this way then.
Okay, fine. So for me, actually to do psychology was a very sort of an easy decision because I know what I don't want.
Don't want.
I know what I don't want.
Okay.
So I don't want to be someone who is in the office, 9 to 5, sort of computer job, the desk job. So I was like, no, that's definitely not mine. And then I want to help people, and I want to work with people lah. So basically, that's how I chose psychology. And for me, I'm actually very lucky because my parents fully support me.
Wow.
Yeah, so they went like, what do you want to do? I'm like, psychology. They're like, okay, fine, just do
the
it.
easiest conversation with your parents ever.
Yeah.
Can start there.
So this is worse.
Fucking long, 10 minutes.
This is just okay, done.
Yeah, I mean, they've been very supportive of me lah.
But that's the thing about psychology, even lecturers say that if you do psychology, you must be very passionate in the subject. Because parents won't encourage you to take psychology. It's always you wanting to take that subject.
Yeah, what can you do?
What can you do?
Yes.
That's the thing about psychology.
Yeah, but I'm very glad. But then again, I mean, whenever I tell people, like before this, when I tell others that I want to do psychology, they'll give me that look like, are you going to go see all the orang gila? Are you going to read my mind? All those
I'm
very...
so sick of those stereotypes.
Yeah, the stereotype is bad. I mean, it goes to an extent where every time we talk about psychology means it's crazy people.
Reading mind.
Yes.
Sherlock Holmes.
And also like... Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, and also actually when I told my teachers also back then, some of them say like, but you have potential to be like those really
Doctor.
Yeah, to be a doctor, to be all this kind of thing. Yeah, literally. Then I was like, but that's not what I want to do. That's not where my passion is. So I was like, I'm gonna take in and then sorry, it goes out, kind of thing. So that's how I got into psychology, and that's how for me.
Okay, my turn. Actually, I didn't decide to do psych until it was the year of going to foundation, so it was 18. Yeah, so throughout high school I had no idea what to do, and typical Chinese parent they said, oh, you don't know what to do, you just take science stream again lah. Okay, yeah, sure, I'll take science stream. All my friends are in science. Fucking idiot. I hated it so much. I couldn't do science to save my life. It's like, okay, science, that shouldn't be that hard, Form 1, Form 2, Form 3 is okay lah. But then when you go to Form 4, bio, chem, physics, oh my god, I failed everything. But yeah lah, so it's like, after that, I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna finish high school, doing science and everything. And initially, I thought I wanted to do law. So I was like, I just did a bit of research and everything. Then I found out that, you actually have to study, read, and memorize a lot. So I was like, okay, it's not my thing. And I'm not the typical going to law, doctor and everything. Doctor, same reason, I can't take cigarette. We did the dissection thing in Form 4. I just died. And I was like, I'm going out of the class. I almost puked. I just saw the frog. I was like, okay, I'm not. Then so I knew doctor wasn't for me. And then I really had no idea until after SPM. Even then, I still had no idea. So I went to the to the education fairs. I went to those education fairs just to look around, and I narrowed it down to either hospitality or psychology. So yeah, I was just like thinking about it, and then I just saw like, oh, health is okay, pretty decent. No, I know that health is famous for psychology as well. So I was like, okay, it's a bit of an interest, so I just go for it lah. And I don't really regret. It's just the only thing now is like the research subjects and everything. I'm like, oh wow, you have to do a lot of maths and all that. Like, yeah, but basically it's that lah. It's just a bit of interest after finding out more about it. That's why I joined psych. Yeah, that's all.
Right, so I definitely wouldn't recommend you following what I did. So after Form 5, I did science stream. So because parents, you don't know how to do, take science lah. So I legit don't know how to do. And even though, okay, I did well for physics. I really had interest in physics. Bio, I don't know what I was doing. Chemistry, I did really well, but I copied all the reports, I memorized all the shit. So I thought I did really well. So I was like, engineer.
Oh shit.
So I didn't really, so after that, going to PU foundation. So I was thinking, where should I go? I was checking out A-levels, cosmetics, all those, the really, really down one, because engineering.
Yeah.
After that, I couldn't come to a decision, so I just asked one of my friend, Mickey. Just asked her, where are you going? Help. Take my foundation. Get there. So I went to help. I took foundation in science for 3 years. Then I studied first semester, did calculus, everything. Okay, fine. Second semester, first class of chemistry. Okay, I went for physics first. Physics was
You went for Helps Foundation.
yeah, House foundation in science.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I went physics first. There's only 4 people in class.
That's not a lot of people.
I didn't understand anything he said. So it's okay, physics I can study, my interest. Went to chemistry. First class of chemistry.
Is Chandra.
Sangeeta.
Sangeeta or okay still.
The first class,
What's okay?
the first class she did, what do you call that? Chapter 1 of the chemistry, which actually recaps your whole high school. So after that class, I was like,
I'm out of here.
so I just left the class. Straight, I walked out of the class. I went to the admin. My friend was like, hey, I just walked. I have a mission here, guys. I'm gonna change. Yeah, so I went from engineering to foundation in arts. Then I still didn't want to do it. So foundation is just try out subjects like when I take. And then come the degree. I was very easy to look for a new uni so just like I just go to help lah. So then at first I was like, I'll take full business because I'm really interested in business. Suddenly that interest piqued in me lah. So then I was like, all my friends are in psych. Like most of my friends are in psych, so like then I started this course business psych. So I get business and I get to go to class with them so. Yeah, but now I'm doing a lot media related and
It's a side picture doing mass call.
actually I'm taking business side, but I'm doing mass call because like sometimes there are videos I do for them. Then the unis, like clubs, I do their videos also. And suddenly I like have an interest in doing videos, so I just keep on producing. So yeah, mass comm is that. But mass comm people will learn way more lah. I'm just scratching the surface.
But how do you find business psych so far? Because like from what I understand, right, psych is because your friends are there, and business is because it's something that you like. So
okay. So what I like to say is I'm a part-time student.
I started seeing his change on his Instagram. Yeah.
So I've been classes. I just get by lah. Can study. Interested, then I study more. So as long as I don't fail, I don't retake the subject, it's fine.
See? Totally same mentality.
So I've been doing a lot of work outside, like especially this year. Other than the personal development project, break the box thing, I'm trying to network a lot more. So as I said, my currency is not money, it's networking. The amount of people I know, like you said, networking is very important. So that's what I've been working on this year. And piano, I play. I'm a pianist, so that's where I get like my sort of steady income now.
okay,
Yeah, so that's why the part-time student kind of term came up.
I see. Still doesn't answer my question, bro.
That's why I can't really answer your question in a sense because I don't really think so much about my course.
Okay.
I wouldn't be the best person to give advice on the course. But what I can say is, it's very flexible. You learn a lot. When you learn in psych, you might apply that to some of your business subjects also. And when you learn in business, you apply it to psych. And a lot of this thing really, I think business psych is a lot on HR and how to manage conflict people, how to manage conflict with people, and then also a lot on marketing. Because the psych part is how it affects people's buying behavior, people's consumer behavior. And psych also teaches you on how to deal with people in management. So that's where business psych intersects.
Actually, just jumping into what you had mentioned just now was where the degree is not really something that you're gonna base your entire career on, base the rest of your future on, which is something that I wanted to point out because for me, when I went in, I was genuinely convinced that the only way I can help people with counseling is if I have a psychology in counseling degree and a master's. I was thoroughly convinced of this. And after I came into the foundation, so one thing is that in my high school, I didn't care about studies at all. I really don't care. So everything I just let it fail. And when I came into foundation, I thought that, okay, now my degree is my new ticket. So I really put in so much effort. I was getting really, really good grades. Once I entered year one, I was like, why is degree easier than foundation?
It just help.
I felt because in my science foundation, right, there was never a single week that I didn't have work to do. So it kept me very, very busy. And
foundation science.
That's why when we saw, I tell you, the science people all joke about us people. It was like, wow, their assignments go to the zoo. Like, what is this nonsense? Meanwhile, like for us, we had
tourism.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like, how come their life so free, man? They can go and do so many things. Like my schedule, right, was like there were weeks in the thing that all of my science subjects will overlap. So I have 3 assignments and 2 lab reports in the same week, all due in 1 week. So then I was like, how do I have time to do anything else? So that's why I was very, very like, okay, I'm on the right track, I'm getting good grades and everything. Then once I entered university, it's like, every 4 weeks give me 1 assignment, and I don't need to study already. Like then after that, I just throw everything away because I started asking around, it's like, why is this relevant to me being able to counsel people? Why is taking these subjects relevant to me being able to help people with my skill set? So once I was in the degree, my perception started to change a lot. And that's why I started doing like other things. Means outside of my university, like just outside the study side, which is where I did like the Mono Dance Club. I helped to found that. I helped to found the Captain Ball Club because I was like, this is more worth my time because I was really, really exploring myself, which is the question I wanted to pose to you first and then later on to you guys, which was how did you actually get into this? Because you were joking about how you're doing mass comm, but to do that, it also needs a certain skill set in the sense that I cannot just buy a random camera and suddenly magically know how to shoot and how to edit and all this.
Yes.
So as you like figured out that this is not the path you want to go, when you started jumping into this, how did you actually gain those skill set and understand that this is something that you wanted to do?
One moment. Just to play devil's advocate, because like you're talking about learning about counseling and like learning how to counsel, how to talk to people. I feel like things like this, if you want to learn, right, the only way to learn is do it through practice. And you can't expect for a university to give you, the time, the environment, and the space to practice this all the time and so on. So I feel like, okay, practice is one thing that's practical, but there's also the theory side of things as well. So like what sort of theory, like what sort of like, angles do you see this patient from? And that can be done or can be learned through like, what do you call it, like assignments or like presentations or like thesis or whatever you call that. So that's the knowledge side of things. But again, like if you're expecting to learn learn counseling, right, then psychology is a good platform. But again, if you want to practice, there's always things that you can do out there that you can explore as well. Like for example, like for your internship, go to like a counseling place or counseling room, whatever. Yeah, like SPSS or whatever.
We'll get more there.
Yeah.
I disagree, but
I think I agree with you.
I would disagree because I tried that. I tried going into counseling for the internship, and all of the counseling related ones that I asked, right, all of them told me the same thing. You will be doing admin work. You will not be allowed in the counseling rooms. You will not be allowed interactions with the counselors due to confidentiality. You cannot even be there to help them in the room. You will run the admin. So it's like the one silver lining is that like you can try while you work the desk to catch the counselors as they come in and out of the rooms. I was like, that is a risk that I'm not too willing to take because like, out the whole day, how many times am I going to see you? And what, you want me to stop you in the middle of your runs and ask you to help me? What questions would I ask? I don't know, I don't know yet. Yeah, I have no experience with this. How do I know what to ask you? So that was one of the issues. For now, what I do is that I am very, very passionate about counseling people's skill. Really what I did is that I took listening skills like that because I feel that we're all gifted with different things. This is something that I innately believe. We all have different skill sets. We're all good at different things, which is why like analyzing, I cannot analyze for shit. So if you're going to give me an analyzing job, you might as well just throw the job away. But for like maybe like Delphi, for Josh, for Shun, maybe they're better at that. For me, I empathize with people very, very well. Like in fact, I just very, very off topic. Like the other day, I was reading about my friend whose child had passed on, and wow, I tell you the amount of immediate pain that I brought myself to, putting myself there. It's just that like empathizing is a skill that I have. So what I do to practice is legit. I just talk to people, and if I feel that they're going through something, I've actually counseled, not to say counseled, I talked to my student that I tutor and the parent because I could see that there's a lot of conflict between him who's going through SPM and how he talks to his mother. And after I was done with my tutoring, I just sat down with them and we ended up talking for 2 hours and just using all the theory knowledge that I had, just translating it into like how we deal with family people. But yeah, but jumping back to you.
What's the question?
It's more like basically like how did you, from knowing that okay, the degree is not the path, not my ticket, you started doing stuff like mass comm and filming and everything. How did you get good at that? Because that's not a skill that just you have, man.
YouTube.
Nice. Everything YouTube.
Serious. So I think I started doing filming first. Yeah, I think I started filming first. So I did for my friend's tourism trip. It's like, oh, can you just come and film us? I mean, this with friends since you're already going and having fun. Myself film for them, so I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. So since then I filmed. Then after that, I was like, kind of interesting though. Then so I started trying to find out more how to improve, how to like get better videos, and then so the first person that actually I found on YouTube was Peter McKinnon. You guys know him?
No, not really.
Okay, so he's a videographer, and basically he's a photographer, videographer. He does all these kind of things, and he not only vlogs his day and all these kind of things, he also teaches you how to edit videos, what works well with what, and how do you overlay certain sounds, how to get like nicer sounds. So that's the main person that I learned how to shoot videos was from Peter McKinnon. And then storytelling, I really like to watch Casey Neistat.
Yeah,
his storytelling is really good. And recently I found out this guy is Peter McKinnon's friend. I think Matty, some guy. I don't know his son. I don't know how to read his name. It's Matty. Yes. He is similar to Peter McKinnon, but he's a bit more lax kind of version to how he approaches things. So yeah, YouTube is really a lot. You just keep on watching. There are a lot of ways to learn how to film, how to edit videos. They teach you step by step after the transitions. Not only for editing videos, they teach you After Effects. Basically, anything you want to learn, you can find it on YouTube.
That's true.
Yeah. So after that, after you learn online, what you need is to put in practice. So just take a camera, go and film. Then you just make up your own storyline. The funny thing is how I actually really like filming is I didn't have Wi-Fi at home.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, he doesn't have Wi-Fi at home.
I don't have Wi-Fi at home.
No wonder you only film one time then.
I have no Wi-Fi at home, so I don't game. So video editing is sort of my
that's an offline thing also.
Yeah, it's an offline thing. So that's how I actually really got into videography. So I was like,
nothing else to do.
Wait, how long have you been doing this video thing for?
Foundation was 2 years.
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years.
So like for the rest of the 18 years of your life, what were you doing at home, bro?
You cannot even watch porn.
No way! You don't watch porn, you don't game. What do you do, bro?
He needs to buy a Playboy magazine.
Just go out.
I get
There's Wi-Fi, download everything.
Drive one TV.
There's a few terabytes of porn. We're all adults here.
No. So actually
initially during high school because I played basketball.
Yeah.
So my schedule was really packed from
Practices.
morning 6:30 you wake up, you go to class 7. After class you go training, come back tuition. Always tuition. So Monday to Friday is packed like this. So Saturday, Sunday is either with family or competition. Because during weekends they had competition. So yeah, my high school life was
Sounds like a good life.
Yeah, sounds like
a really good life.
very old school life.
1990s kids type of life.
I mean, I barely game lah, in a sense.
You don't have time.
But in a sense that like that busy lifestyle translates to now that I'm able to cope with my busy lifestyle because I'm really used
That's very true.
to certain kind of lifestyle. So I wouldn't exactly say that I suddenly now only being so busy.
Lifestyle.
Yeah.
Then like for you guys, because I think something that you mentioned was that for I think Alton and myself, we resonate more with I went into the degree and very, very quickly I realized that number one, this is not my main ticket out, and number two, this is not something I'm going to want to do for the rest of my life, which is why like I think we can agree that we started looking to different outlets. But I think for yourself, that you went in, you did have a very kind of like one-track mind, like it was very, very laser focused on that. Did that change after you came into university, or is it still like, because right now you're still in uni, is it you still have that one laser track mind?
Actually, when I first started psychology, I told myself, I'm going to do my master's. No matter what, I'm going to do my master's. I'm going to be a clinical psychologist. That's what was in my mind. But the moment I went in, the first day I went in, I met this sort of marketing person at Help, and he was a marketing
one
person.
Of the staff in
Yeah, the one. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I went in there, and he was like, "So why you want to do psychology?" And I'm like, "Oh, because I want to be a clinical psychologist." I was so proud of myself. I'm going to be a clinical psychologist. Then he sat down and he was like, "You might want to think again."
Oh, wow,
You
right
know?
off the bat, yeah.
No, I mean, what he said was that you don't put your mind, don't set your mind so fast yet. You finish your degree first and then you decide. I was like, okay, because after you finish psychology, you still have, for talking about masters, there are so many different lines. So I was like, okay, I took his advice. So I went in, I do my psychology. And then after that, because of like certain experiences in the previous few years, I told myself, I don't think clinical is something I want to do. Yeah.
You're definitely going to have to need to explore on that. Like you get off and what happened?
Okay, so I mean,
is she gonna cry?
no, I'm not gonna cry. No, it's just it was a.
I'm gonna cry. No, it's
like, it was just a pretty tough relationship. Yeah, so that really like I became from someone so proud to someone who just want to close up everything. Yeah, I like built a wall, surrounding myself. So because of that, I told myself I don't think clinical is something that I can do. Yeah, because to having to go through something so, how do I put it, traumatic in a way, it really brings me down a lot. So I told myself I don't think I can do this. But still, I want to work with people. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be people with problems, but just people in general. Because I don't want to be someone who is stuck in front of a computer every day. Yeah, so that's.
So it's kind of like you went in, and then like your own personal life experience that happened that made you change your perception about that.
Yeah, but still, psychology is still, for me, it's my ticket. It may not be your ticket, but it's my ticket.
Yeah, and I feel that we should definitely be allowed to disagree with people, because a lot of times, especially like something that we're noticing with these type of topics, with like degree and like that your ticket within your way out, we feel that it's okay to disagree, but a lot of times people may feel that because I disagree, I need you to agree with me. Yeah, which is why at the beginning of the question, I really wanted to make you feel that even though we have different perceptions about it, it's totally fine for us to disagree. And we should also, bring these type of topics to light in the sense that like I will not understand your perspective about it, and you may not understand mine until we both actually talk about it. Yes, exactly. And bring the point across so that all the other listeners, if they have your mindset or my mindset, now they understand both sides and they can make a better decision for themselves.
The whole like we agree to disagree. So
Precisely. I feel that in conversations like this, we need to disagree. Because if we all five of us come here and we all have the exact same thing, then what's the point? Really, what is the point? Right?
And that's just close within 5 minutes.
Yeah, just like, oh, you agree? I agree too.
Okay,
we're done.
5-minute podcast. Yeah. So for me, I always had the mindset that degree was not everything. Ever since before high school, because I was not the academics sort of person. So I was like, okay, it's definitely going to be a stepping stone, but it's not everything. But because same with Delphine, I was still interested in helping people. But I knew that I was not going to go into clinical and counseling and everything, because definitely my academics cannot carry me there. So I took psychology because the things we learn, the theories and everything, I feel that it's important to help us for personal development, and also if you want to help other people, it's good to know it as well. So that's why I took psych. But then for me, I feel that because recently I've been trying to open myself up more to more opportunities. So doing this podcast is one, trying to like whatever Elton is doing, to network and everything. And it's just that and any form of helping people, like maybe doing personal development or just humanitarian work, that's what I aim to do in the future. Still currently, but who knows, maybe it might change.
I think this leads me to a very important question, because like Justin said earlier, degree is just the knowledge. There's very little practical stuff that you can do that can help you apply in real life. Which is why people like Elton, he's been studying. You started with full time, right? Then you switched to part time, or has it always been part time?
Students.
As a student.
But that's just a late term I give myself.
Also, you do
He's actually
a full time, but you do some side jobs as well.
I do, yeah.
Okay.
The thing is, I say it's part-time student because I spend most of my time doing other things,
Okay.
and minority of time with my academics.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we always have this mindset that part-time students are sort of wasting their time. They can just complete the degree in 3 years. Why do they want to spend 4, 5, 6 years?
I'm still taking my 3 years degree,
Mm-mm.
but whenever I have time, I'll be doing it. So probably I'll be in class, you'll be teaching, but I'll be doing my work, my outside jobs.
I sit next to him during some classes, but I turn in, he'll be like, he has his iPad, the lecturer is talking in front, he has his iPad, but he's doing something else. I'll be like, okay.
Living the life.
So in a sense, it's part-time student now.
Okay, and does that diminish any of your concentration for education or anything else?
Not really, because honestly, I've always been a very top student. Not exactly top, but good A student.
So it's the smart type.
He looks straight at me.
I never really had any problems studying.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that really helped me in the sense that before exam, probably a few days, I can still cram and study for the test.
Jealous.
Yeah, so sometimes I feel bad that I judge people that they get really worked up.
Yeah.
And I'm but I know not everyone works in the same way.
Yep.
So this is how I actually cope.
That's true, because the reason why I'm asking this is because sometimes like I said earlier, when people do part-time, we always just why don't you just finish this in 3 years and spend the rest of your time working instead of just working while studying, because some people see it as a waste of time. But from what Justin shared earlier, it's always good to have some practical experience along this as well. Even now, when I'm not working, I've not been working for 2 months already. What my parents said were super funny. They were like, "Wow, you never work for 2 months already. What are you doing? Waste so much time." And wow, 2 months salary is 7, 8K already now. You've been losing this much of money this whole time. Then from their point of view, I've been losing money in a way, but at the same time, I feel I've been growing a lot, because without this break, I won't be doing this right now. And at the same time, I've been gaining connections as well by talking to people like you, and also by learning new things, what Justin said earlier, doing scripting, doing the back end side of things, learning a lot of things that money cannot buy, which is something very important as well. I just want to know what are your thoughts on this?
So
All three of you actually.
you can go first.
I agree.
Yes.
But you're right. I feel I always had the thoughts the degree isn't everything, like I said before. So getting experience, these practical things, is all these things are something you cannot learn in university.
Yeah.
At least not in class lah. So going out doing part-time jobs or doing stuff like this, you really improve yourself as a person, and I really think that's more beneficial than just getting HDs and whatnot. Although it's good to get good grades, definitely. I'm not like saying it's a bad thing, but it's not everything. Yeah, and that's always been my mentality towards education. Yeah.
For me, actually, I'm one of those top students kind of person.
She's even more top than I am.
I swear, man, I'm like really stable. I'm like the fucking dumbest one.
Why I'm saying this is because for me, I put education somewhere quite at the top.
Okay.
But at the same time, I don't neglect all those soft skills. Like doing this, playing sports, running clubs, and all those kind of things. Those are, for me, it's as important as my education. Because for me, I have very, very high expectations for myself. I set my personal goals very high, especially in education. My results are basically. So for me, that comes sort of at the same par as all my other work, like this podcast, sports and everything. Yeah, so I mean, maybe for y'all, it has their rankings in a way. Yeah, but for me, it's not much of a ranking.
For me, seriously, actually the main reason is I cannot sit still.
Okay.
So I get very worked up. Like not worked up in the sense, it's more of my mind goes
Starts to run, right?
So if I don't do stuff, I give myself 1 day rest. I always say every week I have one day rest. So by the end of the day, right, I'll be like, itchy
Itchy already, right?
get something done. So that day we're talking about rest, then she's like, I always fill up with splatter fill, then I say I have 1 day rest. Then after that, I start filling up my planner again. It's not because I don't want to take the rest, it's once I rest already, I need to get going else. I cannot sit still. So yeah, that's why I think for me there's no certain ranking. I just want to have fun. I just want to have exciting life and just do whatever I want.
I actually want to jump back on that because just now something that Shun said really caught my attention. That like before you went into the degree, I think something you said was that you knew that the degree was not like the whole thing, right? Yeah, and I think that like the burning question inside me is that what brought you to that realization exactly? Because something to me is that something I'm seeing, right, is that a lot of things come from upbringing, and I really want to actually kind of open this topic up because for yourself, you putting everything on such a high pedestal for yourself, right, didn't just come like you came into this world like that,
Yes,
right? No?
yeah.
And just you knowing that, right, to me, something speaks a lot about your parents. Because like, I don't know a single parent in this century that's telling you that the degree is not your only way out. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like even like for yourself, like you were packed up with basketball, everything. That means that your parents needed to have allowed you to play basketball at least in some certain sense, which a lot of things that I was not allowed to do. So I really want to actually dive into this of like, how do you think like your upbringing actually affected your going into uni, right? Your thinking, how did that actually affect it?
For me, it's like because my parents, they're very in a way, like they're quite chill with my like academics. They said as long as you don't fail anything and you are okay, then they're okay, like they won't complain. So I think that really affected how I saw and viewed education because if I could live with just like, I as long as I did my things, I didn't fear anything, I wasn't causing problems, I could still get by in life. So I always had the perception that education is good, it's important for sure, but what you do and what you learn and when you choose to improve yourself is more important than the education itself. Yeah. So I learned throughout the last few years that soft skills, dealing with people, just any form of personal development is much more valuable than education. And in a way I view it as like I'm kind of like supplementing because I'm not the smartest and I know I'm not the smartest, so I might as well stack myself with all these soft skills. So at least I can complement for it. That's how I view it.
Very self-aware guy.
Okay, so for me, actually my parents are those type that they actually don't put education first. For us, family is always number one.
Strange, right?
Yeah, I think that's.
Three different families.
But I think that's how my family and we are very close because for us, family is number one, and then comes everything else. So for them, you don't. They told me this when I was very, very young. You don't have to come back with straight A's. Even if you come back with B's and C's, we're fine. So long as you respect us, you be someone who's good, you help others, that's good enough.
Damn.
Fuck,
Can
man.
your parents open another parenting podcast?
Yeah.
Asian don't need to be doctor.
Yes, exactly. That's what they told me. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a lawyer. So long as you do what you want, you're happy. That's enough.
Damn.
That's what they tell me. But
Okay, the man is you must be successful in whatever you do.
it's not on their part. But because they say things like that, for me, I go, okay, so my parents want me to be someone who is good. And somehow or rather, I set my own expectations. Because they don't have any expectations for me, I set my own expectations. So I'm like, the first time I got really good results, I was like, oh my god, this feeling is so good. You know, I can make them happy, I make myself happy. So from then on, I always set my target for my education very, very high. And sometimes, at times, I really like, because I have such high expectations, I really like make myself work to the extent, you know. But because of this, I mean, like what I said, like, upbringing is very important. And like, back to the question, what was it? I think I went out of topic.
Just go on.
Right. Yeah. So for me, it wasn't very hard for me to get into like whatever I was doing. And like back in high school, I actually did a lot of. I was in choir. So that was my main thing other than my education. So from there, I built a lot of skills like working with people and like managing the club, and as well as doing other things like sports. I was an athlete back then. Yeah, I did. I was an athlete. I did choir, and then from there, I think it built my ability to like work with a lot of things, juggling with a lot of things at the same time. So when I went to uni, it wasn't a really
not a big change.
Not a big change. So it was like a gradual, like adding on to whatever I have on my plate. But behind me, I have my family to support me lah. So that's where my upbringing was, I think, a bit different from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I actually just want to continue on this, right? Do you think that it's because your parents granted you, like, I would use the word autonomy, like more autonomy, because you said that they didn't really set their expectations, which caused you to put expectations and goals for yourself, right? Then would you say that their autonomy, that the freedom that they gave you, which actually converted back into like, I will push myself, or?
In a way, yes. Actually, yeah, because like I said, they don't have any expectations of me. I don't know where to go. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. They're just like, so long as you're happy. But how do we define exactly? How do we define happy? How do you define happiness? How do you define what is an expectation? Because they don't have any expectations of me, I set it myself. And then back then, before I discovered all these like other small things outside, studies was the only thing I had.
True.
Yeah, so that was where I set my own expectations back then.
Actually, I just wanted to emphasize a bit on Justin's question earlier, because like I feel like there's a point where you really hit, because like we all have a perception about our education. Like some of us is like, you know, and yeah, don't give a fuck. But some of us like education is everything. But like for some people like you guys, it's more of like same level, or like there's different levels to it. I'm just wondering, like, is it always the same? Like when you went into the degree, is it always the same perception throughout? Or did it change? Or did it change? And if it changed, right, I want to know like what changed it? What changed your perception about education?
Okay, look at me. Okay.
Yes, you.
Okay, so actually talking about speaking of that, my education, like I said, it was always at the top until the point where I went into choir. That was my turning point. Actually in primary school also. But primary school, that was like a very small thing. Like on the weekends, I go for practices and we go for competitions, but that's it. But when I went to high school, we have to run the club at the same time together with the teacher advisor. So that was where I slowly realized that like, hey, education is not everything. Because I realized that when I go for an interview, for example, they don't only look at your education. They flip, then they close the book, and it's just you. You know, so what you say, what skills you have is very important. Other than that,
I feel like there's always something that you have to go through that make you realize that, oh shit, soft skills are actually important.
Yes,
like this practical experience thing is actually important. Because for me, it's more or less the same thing. Like I started off like education is everything. I strive like fucking hard to just get a first class. Yeah, very hard. Yeah, we live in the same household, so he knows. Then I realized that education and like uni is so much more than that lah. And it's same thing. You have to experience. You have to be open to the experience first.
Yes,
then when you experience it, then you start to realize the importance of like socializing, talking to people, networking, and that's where you start to emphasize like add those values in your life as well.
I really resonate with what you're saying because like I grew up in, I would say like a completely polar opposite type of family dynamic with what you grew up with, which was my dad is like he education is the only key. That's it, full stop. There's no other way out. And the way that they control, I'm not like shitting on my parents in any way or form. It's just different. So for me, my dad ran a very, very tight ship, very, very strict. I had rules all the way up until I was in high school, and my bedtime was set. How I watch TV, how I eat my ice cream, all has been set for me. There was a time.
How you eat ice cream?
I had to earn the right to eat ice cream and watch TV.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't receive a phone until I was like 15 or 16. And I did not get data for that phone until I was 19. So even when I came to KL, my dad is like, data has already existed now. Okay, let's get this damn straight now. It's like if I can survive last time in KL with no GPS, you can survive in KL with no GPS. So I had no navigation system. I would look at the map of where I needed to go at home, draw a map by hand, and drive while looking at my own handwritten map. That is how I was raised, and all of my education needed to be top notch. Because like I said, I think that your parents giving you the autonomy forced you to start thinking for yourself.
Correct.
It's like, okay, so now you have no expectation of me. Then exactly it's like, oh, what do I do? What's that expectation? Right? But for me, I got through that journey so late in life, like around like 19, only I started thinking for myself because I came away from my family, I'm from Penang. So only when I was here, I started realizing that, hey, actually, education doesn't mean that much, man. And I went on a complete polar opposite because I don't care about education anymore. Like, this is not going to help me. And yeah, so from there, then I had to learn the different things. And what I really agree with Josh's question is that as you experience that, then you get the different lessons. Where it's like, oh, if I'm at the top, yes, I get the cert, I get all this, but I don't have the groundwork. I'm not with my team on the ground actually executing the plan. You're the brain at the top, but you're not the muscle. And then after you came here, it's like, okay, now I want to be a muscle. But it's not until you actually go through that experience that you realize that, oh, okay, there's different things in this world for me to experience. I really resonate with the story, seriously. I like it so much.
Oh, cool.
Good job.
Whoa, we're not grading here, please.
HD1 story.
Wait, no.
Yeah, and you can see like even from his story, when he says that he worked hard, he's not kidding. Like he really worked so crazy hard, and I'm really happy that we had a chance to live together because the lifestyles that we both lived throughout year 1, year 2, right?
Huge contrast.
Huge contrast. I'm telling you, like I still love to use this story where there was like a midterm that we were studying for. He legitimately studied 2 to 3 weeks in advance. And I see him study. We sleep in the same room, not house, room. So I watch him study as I watch my movies. And I only studied, I swear to you, the night before. And the night before, I asked him to teach me. And I scored higher than him, and he just didn't talk to me for 2 or 3 days because he was so pissed. He was just like, he put so much effort, and I leached off of his knowledge, and after that I still came out, but after a while, he himself also started to realize the necessity of like networking and all this, and I'm really happy that after a while he really started pushing himself. And yeah, we just started at different benchmarks, which again, I feel that a lot of it is our upbringing, which there's a lens that we view the world in. And because we came from different benchmarks, we had different growth curves at different times of our days in uni.
Actually, adding on to that, I feel that some of us are sort of, the moment we're born, we are gifted, like you say, gifted with a skill set. So for some people, they're very good at studying. But for people like me, I'm actually not good at studying. I'm only where I am today because I put in a lot of effort. Same like Josh, I put in a lot of effort to be where I am today. So like the late night studies, the study 1-2 weeks before kind of thing, to prepare for our minds. Because like if let's say I have to study the night before, I'll be damn anxious. I really cannot take it. I think I'll just I really cannot. Yeah, we have to prepare because We are not meant. We are not made for it.
Cannot relate this guy.
There's no answer to that.
I'm not
Where do I go?
it's like,
But what I can really say that is hard work pays off lah. Like,
Definitely.
yeah, that's very true. Like, cause like what we experienced, right, is like for the first half of our degree, first 1.5, like 3 years, 1.5, yeah, our results are like almost similar.
First two, if you're being like slightly more.
Yeah.
Year two.
Yeah, around that, our results are mostly similar, although we put different amounts of effort. But like end of year 2 or closing into year 3 when thesis started, that's where we can see like there's a gap lah, like how much does effort pays off as well. So then that's when we see, oh okay, actually it's not, you know, all like unfair lah. I mean, like at the end hard work always pays off. God is fair, bro. I trust you, God.
But seriously, with a family that I really wish my parents would have done that instead, you know, because like controlling us like so hard, like a lot mess with my head lah.
Yeah, but then again, it takes a lot of. It's a two-way thing lah. Because they give you so much of autonomy, you have to know when to do something. Yeah. It takes a lot of willpower as well.
That's what I've been saying, like it takes different people to realize this, you know.
Yeah.
Like if you give this autonomy to someone who doesn't know how to recognize or appreciate it, they will like just use it to to what they want to do.
Correct.
They just take drugs or do whatever they want because like there's so much freedom. Yeah, it's about how much you realize and how much you appreciate this autonomy that you
But
have.
I feel like to that point, right, I think you still need to, like for me, I'm the type, I was really the kid, right, I need to touch the kettle and know that it's hot. You cannot tell me that it's hot, because for the rest of my life, I will wonder, is it really hot or you just bluff me and me? So you need to burn me. You burn me, I will never touch you again. So like I feel like with this kind of freedom, and it's worse because of the parenting style that my parents had was that they were so strict. So they control, but the more they control, the more I push back.
Correct.
Because it's like, I don't know. You tell me not to do this, I don't know. What is on the other side of that fence? Just show me one time only, and I will never ask you again. You let me do it, right? And I feel that even if you guided me and taught me, for sure I will betray it every so often. I'm a kid, what do you think I'm going to do? But after I do that, I said, okay, there's consequences, and I don't like how I make you feel. Then I suddenly will change really, like, I think I told you the story once before, like my mother, because I'm here, and my mom is like very family oriented also, very, very family oriented. She puts that above everything, she will throw money away as long as she can maintain a good relationship with her. And when I was here, legit, right, she wanted me to call back every day. And I'm like, I'm not gonna call you every day. What's the point of me being outside of the house? And that hurt her like a lot because she's like, that it felt like I don't love her, you know. But to me, it's like, no, if you make me call you, I have nothing to say to you. Because I'm calling you out of obligation. It is not an act of love on my part. But and then I told her, Mom, seriously, right, just lay off of me. Lay off of me for a little while, I will call back myself. And when I call back, right, then it's like you're allowing me the chance to show you my love already. Because if it's you must call back every day, you think I call out love, I call just to check it off the box for you, and then it's like I got nothing to say to you. Life is not so interesting that every day got cool shit that happens to you.
I like the fact that our personalities are very similar. However, that our upbringing is very different.
I can see that.
I think like your parents is really
damn strict.
damn strict, right? For me, it's okay. For me, my parents actually are piano teachers.
Piano teachers.
Yeah,
Both of them?
Yeah, both of them.
Oh shit!
Okay, my
That's
mom's
so
a piano
cool.
teacher, my dad's a piano teacher, and my dad's a photographer.
Yeah, that's why.
So, in a sense, my family doesn't go the traditional degree or whatever sense of it. Then, so that affects me in one way, that I'm so lax in a sense. Then another thing is that my basketball coach, he's the one that has a really big influence on me growing up. So, he's the one that always last time when I play, he'll say I'm really selfish. Serious. He ever since my primary school days, he's selfish all the way up to 5. And I'm a point guard. That's not something.
A selfish point guard. You take the ball, take out.
So it was then, he always told me that I was selfish. So after that, when I actually got to think about it, that's when I actually thought about really trying to help people. And the fact that the training was so hard all the time also puts into the way that I can cope with all this shit because I had it worse.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really
affect me so much. Like my workload doesn't really kill me off. So I'm really like intrigued that even though our upbringing is so totally different, then we come under the same. Yeah.
That's where psychology comes into play, you know. There's like nurture and nature. In fact, nature is like what you're brought up with, like upbringing. I mean, not really, but you know what I'm saying? Nature is more like genes about whatever, but I'm trying to relate this to psychology. There are always different angles that affect and change the way you behave. Yours upbringing, his is the things that he experienced so far.
There's many factors and variables. Like,
Yeah.
You just cannot allow.
Exactly.
DBs. Similar upbringing. Different
Different
personalities.
results, yeah.
How we view things also
Different upbringing, same result.
Yeah.
Which is why I firmly believe, and I'll just keep following here, I firmly believe in the fact that we are born with certain gifts. This, to me, is half like my view of psychology, half of my view of religion. Because I was brought up being told that the Lord gives us different talents, and we're blessed with different talents. And to say that any individual is without talent is like you like saying God don't know how to create you, something like that.
Yeah.
But to me, I strongly believe that everybody has different skill sets. They're just different, they're not good or bad, they're just different. And from there, how they were nurtured at a younger age with that skill set will actually really help an expression of it as they get older. For this one.
That's all for part one. Part one.
Bye, bitches.
That's
Right, yeah.
yeah, so you want to wrap up?
Yeah.